Chess is more than a game. It's strategy, it's intelligence, it's friendship. Welcome to my world. Welcome to my channel. The game has just begun.
Hi chess friends, today we can see a semi-final of CHESSABLE Master 2022. Here we have Magnus Carlsen against Liren, and Liren plays with white pieces, Carlsen with black pieces, and I want to show you because this game decide who will go to the final. So we can begin. D4 by Ding, D5 by Carlsen, C4, C6 to defend this pawn better, and knight f3, knight f6, and now e3, bishop g4 to pin this knight, and h3 attacking this bishop, bishop capture for f3, queen capture for f3, and now e6 to control better the d5 pawn. We have knight c3, knight d7, and bishop d3. The two players continue to develop their pieces. Bishop b4, pinning the knight, and now simply castle by Ding. Castle by Carlsen, and now rook d1. Rook e8, and now queen e2. Queen e7, and now bishop d2. We have a6. Maybe in the future with the idea to push b5 to put pressure on c4 pawn, and now bishop e1 by Ding. Rook d8. Now Carlsen has this pair of rook on d and e file, and rook c1. Ding has the two rook, the pair of rook on c and d file. Bishop d6, and now c5 by Ding. In this way, Ding takes some space on the board and attacks dark square bishop of Carlsen. Bishop c7 by Carlsen, and now f4. This move close this diagonal, and maybe in the future would be an idea to attack something, maybe to push or to play g4. Maybe we have bishop a5, and now this is a mistake of Carlsen. If you want to try to find the best move here for Ding, it's not a losing move for Carlsen, but it's not a good move. And here Ding could have some advantage by this position. Try to find the solution after bishop a5. We have knight capture for d5, because the idea of this move is this bishop is attacked by my bishop for white, okay? And if you decide to capture the bishop, there is a problem. This knight can capture the queen. So knight capture for e7, you lose the queen, then you have to take, and rook for e1, and I'm completely winning. So you can't take the bishop on e1. Black can take the bishop on e1. So here you have to do something, and the only way is to take this knight. So e capture for d5. There is a problem of this bishop, so bishop for a5, and in this way Ding controls the b6 square. Maybe the idea was to push this pawn to put pressure on c5, and this bishop control and prevents this move, and in this way Ding has gained a pawn. So because can you see we have 8 pawn against 7 pawn of Carlsen. So we have rook c8, Carlsen continues to play, and now rook c3. Now Ding has a new idea, is to put pressure on the b pawn, that can be pushed. So idea is double up the rook here and to capture this pawn. We have a knight f8. Carlsen prepared to defend this pawn, and rook b3, like preventing. Knight e6, and now queen f3, queen d7, and bishop e1. Then come back with the bishop. Knight d8 to defend this pawn. Is not easy position for Carlsen. All pieces are so close, and yeah, it's hard. Rook b6 to block every pushing of pawn of black, and in this way Ding fix a rook on a b6, and prepare maybe in the future rook c1 and to double up here and to put pressure maybe. And now we have a knight e4. Carlsen centralized the knight. We have bishop c2, and now f5 by Carlsen. Rook d3, like prevented. Rook lift to double up on b file, and now knight. Sorry about that. Knight f7 by Carlsen. Carlsen tried to activate his pieces. Rook b3, and now rook c7. Ding attacks with 2 pieces the b pawn, and Carlsen defends with 2 pieces the b pawn. We have king f1, and now queen c8. King e2, wonderful, what a wonderful idea by Ying. Here I know that this move seems so strange, but king f1, king e2, it's a really wonderful king walk. The idea is for Ding is to bring the king here on the queen side, and then do some damage, some attack on the king side to crush the position, because here there is no way for Carlsen to do an attack on the queen side, so Ding want to bring the king here to be safe. We have knight h8, and now king continues with his march. King d1, and knight g6, king c1, knight f8, and bishop a5, with the idea to move the rook and to attack this the rook of Carlsen on c7 with the bishop. We have rook f7, and now king b1, h6, and now a3. The perfect square for Ding is for Ding's king is a2, so knight h7, and now king a2, and here Ding's king is completely safe and it's better position. This 2 rook continues to put pressure on the b pawn, and now Ding can prepare some really aggressive pushing pawn, okay, in the future. We have knight f6. With this move, Carlsen control better g4, because g4 is coming, so now the knight on f6, the pawn on f5, and the queen control g4. And now bishop e1, really interesting move by Ding, that come back with the bishop, and want to bring the bishop maybe in h4 in the future. We have g5, really interesting move by Carlsen. The idea is that if you capture the pawn, f capture for g5 follows h capture for g5, and now Carlsen could bring the king here, king g6, king g7, g6, and now the rook on h8. Okay, king g7, g6, and now the rook on h8. So could defend really well, because the f pawn is well defended, and this pawn is well defended. And after the king come on g6, Carlsen could double up the rook on h8 and h7, and a good idea to contrast the attack of Ding on the king side. But here we have another move. We have simply bishop d1. Ding waits. We have g4 by Carlsen, and now h capture for g4, f capture for g4, and queen f1, h5 to consolidate the position and to defend the g pawn, and now queen h5. Now queen h1. Now the pawn on h5 is a target for Ding, and he attacks. king g7, a nice king lift to bring the rook here on h8, and now bishop h4, like prevented. A wonderful bishop comes to the attack. We have knight g8, and now bishop c1, c2. By doing this diagonal is closed because there are too many pawns. g4 pawn is well defended, so Ding brings his bishop on c2. We have a knight d2 with an attack on the rook, and here a normal move could be like something I don't know, like this for example, and this would be a normal move for a human, but Ding here find a really beautiful move. If you want to try to find this move, you can stop the video, because here follows this beautiful bishop g5, because here the bishop controls the h6 square, and Carlsen prepares to capture this pawn, the h5 pawn, that is impossible to defend it, because the king can't defend. The king could be the only piece to defend the h pawn, but both light square bishop control and dark square bishop control g6 and h6, so it's impossible to defend this pawn. So really beautiful move. Here Carlsen decides to capture, knight for b3, rook capture for b3, and here is not important if Carlsen has the quality, because Ding has a very nice plan. So knight f6, and now bishop capture for f6, check, rook capture for f6, and now queen h5. The idea is this knight defends the h pawn, but you can simply capture this knight, and then you come here, knight, queen for h5, and now this pawn is so weak, there is a queen g5 check, or queen e5 in the future when this rook will move. So it's so interesting position for Ding. This rook can come here on b7 with check if this queen moves, so not easy position for Carlsen. Rook h8 to attack white queen, but queen e5 like prevented. We have king f7. Carlsen want to bring the king on the queen side, maybe on the b8 to near the queen to defend in the future, and he wanted to try to bring the rook into the game better, okay, to contrast the white queen. But here follows e4, the best move in this position. When the king is on the center, you have to open up the center, so this is a good move. And now we have d capture for e4, bishop capture for e4, and rook e8 with an attack on the queen and on the bishop. But here simply we have queen h5 with check, so Carlsen here can capture this bishop. And now king e7 and d5, continue to push some pawn to create some damage. Here we have king d8 to try to escape here on like c7 b8, but here follows queen g5. Ding prevents the movement of this rook, because pins this rook, and if here Carlsen here play rook f8, if you try here in this position to play something like this to escape, there is simply this capture, okay, rook, you can do it, so you have to defend this rook. So after rook here we have rook d3, and now we have queen c7 by Carlsen. The idea, if you bring the king here, there is simply queen c7 check, prevents to be the reaching of b8 square, and king has to come here. Now this pawn captures d4c. There is a completely open position, and the rook d5 is check, and this is checkmate, really easy checkmate. So here we have king d queen c7, but now follows obviously d capture for c6 check, king c8, and now queen g4 check, king b8, and now rook d7. Very aggressive moves. This pawn controls b7 square, this bishop attack b7 square, so this rook attack b7 square and the queen. And now Carlsen tried rook capture for f4 to attack the bishop and to attack the queen. The idea, if here Ding captures the rook, the queen, Carlsen can capture the queen of Ding, but here Ding plays obviously correct move, queen g7, and now there is too pressure on b7 pawn, and there is no way that Carlsen can do absolutely nothing. You can capture the pawn. You could try this move, but nothing you can do, because you simply capture the queen, and after Carlsen captures the queen of Ding, follows rook capture for g7, and now you can do nothing. It's not important if Carlsen can capture this bishop, because these pawns are too strong obviously, and c6 is coming, so obviously completely winning 5 pawns against only 1, so there is nothing that Carlsen can do. So a nice win by Ding, that really soon will play for the candidate tournament. And I want to show you again the mistake in opening by Carlsen that allows to Ding to improve this position with this move, knight capture for d5, to idea to capture this bishop. And so I hope this video enjoy you. Like always, remember to subscribe to my channel, and thank you really much to everyone, and see you soon with another video. Bye. Thank you.